Okay, second video of the day, as I promised. This one is gonna be regarding women's and men's sexual strategies and how we men have managed to create this beautiful Western society in which women can fully and freely exercise their own sexual strategy while you men are punished for exercising yours. I'm gonna go over this and all the things that I'm gonna say. It is important that I point that they are not coming from a place of any kind of hate or anything negative towards any man or woman. It's just the way things are, and we need to understand this, especially if you're a man. You need to understand this in order to be successful in this woman thing. I mean, your relationships or whatever the thing is. This love, fantasy, and all this nonsense. All that is a lie. None of that exists. All that have been invented to kind of like. There was a time in the world in which all that was useful. Unfortunately, we are living in a time that none of that is useful anymore, and it's harming men, and it's propping women. And I will strongly advise you men to stop thinking and stop practicing this, looking for something that is not there and never been there. It's not there, and it will never be there. Now I'm gonna go over woman's sexual strategy, and then I will go over men's sexual strategy, and openly and fully. I hope both of you guys, men and women, can embrace who you are, and you know each other, and kind of like find common grounds if you ever decide to settle up with the opposite sex or the same sex for the matter. So, woman's sexual strategy is called hypergamy. I know that word is gonna be a surprise for some of you out there. Basically, it means that women marry up. The lawyer never marries the guy with the hot dog stand, basically. But before we go into any of this, yes, there might be someone out there, but it's not the rule. It's more like the exception, and you should not ever base your life in exceptions. You should base your strategy for life based on the rules. So there might be someone out there, but mainly women are hypergamies. They always marry up or they trade up, and this doesn't mean that women are bad or women are whores or women are gold diggers, or none of that. What that means is, there are women like that for sure, but this very basic marry up kind of thing is coming from the place that women get pregnant. Men don't get pregnant, women do. And when a woman get pregnant, they get something like we could say disabled for 9 months out of the year. And that person, of course, there are some strong and independent women out there that they keep working and all the way up to when they are working until they poop the thing out, and Right after you come out of the vagina, they throw them like a dog. They throw the kid like a dog in daycare, and they keep working because they know. I mean, they are strong and independent, and they don't need a man. But those are low quality women, and you want to stay away from that. Going back to reality and normality, women get disabled for 9 months out of the year, and they need a good provider. They need someone who can maintain the house and the car, and put food on the table. And obviously, if you are someone who is used to an X amount of income when you are not pregnant, you want someone that when you're pregnant, you don't have to go all the way down in the, I don't know, economic hierarchy. If you want, you don't wanna be poor. You don't want to be with a poor guy that is not gonna be able to support the lifestyle that you had before you were pregnant. So you will get someone who is in equal or better position, so when you get pregnant, you can maintain your lifestyle. There's nothing wrong with that, guys. That's gonna push you to be the better version of yourself and to be the best possible provider. Simple as that. Nobody likes losers. Nobody does. Men's sexual strategy is very simple. Different to women's. Very different. We want to have as much sexual access to as many as possible women. Simple as that. There's nothing wrong with that either. Now, unfortunately for you, if you're a man, you're living in a society in which you're being punished for exercising your sexual strategy. They might call you several names, or women will openly attack you if you go openly about all this. It seems like they can have their agenda, but you cannot have yours. And if you, let's say, if you have your own agenda, which it might be having sexual access to the person, and you reveal it, you get punished for that. But they can have theirs for sure, and then they can be with you while they are with someone else, or they can be with you, and if someone else comes across with better status, they can drop you and get the other guy. And I mean, that is okay. But if you go and you say, no, I want to fuck everything and everybody, then I don't know, someone might not like that, and you can face a few problems for that. So that's where we are right now, and it's very sad. I mean, a lot of men are being punished for being honest and for being upfront and being, women are the gatekeepers of sex. Men propose and women dispose, otherwise it's rape. You don't want that. And men are the gatekeepers of relationships. So some women, they might pretend that they won't give you sex until you are in a relationship, so in a way that is kind of skewed against you, because now in order to have sex you have to be in a formal relationship, and then you might not like that or might not want that, and that would be counterproductive to you. What I see is happening is that some men are not as successful as other men. Now listen to this, because this is important. might be very interested in this part. There is a somewhat small number of men that are very successful and they have a lot of resources. There is a long, big number of men that are regular guys or are not successful at all. This means that since women marry up for the first time ever, more than 50% of people going to college are women. And they marry up. That means that there is a large percentage of men that are not going to college that are not gonna have a chance to get married because they didn't went to college. You might circumvent this if you are successful because maybe you didn't went to college, but you open up a business and you're being successful at that business and you are accumulating resources, and it doesn't matter at that point if you have a degree or not. What matters is the degree is a step into getting into wealth. If you got the wealth without the degree, it doesn't matter. You still have the wealth. But then those numbers are small. So you have a large pool of women and a small pool of men, and all these women want to mate with this small group of men, and that small group of men are having a very good time and they have a lot of choice. Now if you're a woman, listen to this, because you're giving too much leverage to those guys over there. Let's say that. And they have their choice. They can pick. They can pick anything they want. So everybody wants to sleep with this very successful kind of person, and not because they want to be. I mean, part of is because, well, some people want to have fun, and some people want to do drugs, or some people want to feel or have a shot of at this high-end lifestyle, at least for a night or a week or whatever. Or some people wants to let's say catch one of these very rich guys and back them for themselves and ensure themselves a good provider, so they can have a nice life and they can have kids and they can do, because it's very hard right now, especially if you live in very expensive places. It is very hard to for one member of one of the two to stop working to have kids, and it all falls down and life gets a little complicated from a lot of people. So yeah, I mean, they want to have a good provider and they want to have a good life, and I don't blame them for that. That is the way to go. But that at the same time puts a lot of leverage in these very rich guys, or very successful guys, or successful guys in general. And that might be counterproductive to women, because they might feel that they are being used. But they are using themselves in a way, because they are throwing themselves away towards these guys. And I mean, I'm just a man. What can I do? So it is a complicated situation. I don't see a clear solution for that problem. As my personal experience is that I was born in Cuba, and over there, one of the professions that were highly profitable were people with private cars that they use for move people around. That was one of the highly profitable let's say, professions, and you could get any woman. Of course, we're not talking about millions of dollars or nothing like that. It's just, compared in a communist economy, that was a lot of money. So you could, I saw plenty of doctors, I saw plenty of engineers, but because those professions just don't pay. A regular person in a communist country, well, at least in Cuba, makes a doctor, an engineer, whatever profession it is, it makes in average $20 a month. You can make that in a day driving one of these private cars. Of course, you cannot have a car in Cuba at least your grandpa or your grandpa gave it to you, or your father got it, like back in the days when the communist government were, giving to some very specific people cars and stuff like that. It's very hard to have a car. Less than 1% of the Cuban population have a car. So you were very fortunate if you had one of those, and a lot of doors were gonna be open for you because everybody needs transportation, and things were gonna be good, definitely good for you. And I saw a lot of doctors and a lot of engineers, and I saw a lot of people being very interested in getting to marry one of these, they call it over there boteros. It's just a private taxi cab, kind of like. So it doesn't matter, your profession doesn't matter. What matters is the amount of resources that you have. Now, in this particular country, usually in capitalist countries, the higher you go with your degree, the more money you make. So that's why you can see the correlation here of not marrying down. And that is why it works over there. A guy with ninth grade was marrying a doctor, or was marrying an engineer or something like that, because, well, that guy had a car and the car produced a lot of money. And that doctor and that engineer wanted the money. So, not the money itself, but that security. Women need security because they get pregnant. Men are more for freedom. Men love freedom. So that's what we are seeing right now. There are a lot of guys that are not going into college. There are a lot of guys that are going into other kinds of professions that are highly profitable. There are a lot of women that are going into college degrees that are not profitable at all. And they, on top of that, they're getting a lot of debt that they have to pay back. And by the way, if you as a man marry one of these highly indebted human beings, boom, you are responsible for that debt. The second you sign that paper, that debt belongs to you too. So you don't want to do that. If you didn't went into debt, you don't want no one bringing debt into your life. Not in big amounts. Stay away from that. If you are a rich guy, especially if you are a rich guy, please, my man, don't do that to yourself. Don't be Captain Saibaho. Don't be, you're not a social worker. One thing is for sure, please stay away from single mothers. Those are the worst. Being a single mother is something shameful. And it only means two things. Two very simple things. You either are a terrible human being that drove away a perfectly good man because you were such a terrible human being, or you have terrible judgment and you choose a piece of garbage to have kids with, and then that person left. Either or, you as a man don't want that around you. You want no people around you with very bad judgment, because one bad decision can significate or can means that the person regularly makes bad decisions. And you're gonna see, in general, when you get in touch with these particular kind of human beings, with these single mothers, you're gonna find that It's a bad decision after the other, and their life is a mess in general. You don't want that in your life. You're not Captain Ivanhoe. If you want to have sex with them, it is absolutely fine. They usually they are very. I mean, they want someone. They want someone to be there. But you don't want that for you. Why would you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars raising somebody else's kid or kids? What? Have your own and spend that money in your own kids. Only in your own kids, not in other kids. There are enough women available, especially if you have a lot of resources. The ideal kind of woman that you want is a virgin, 25-year-old, 20-year-old. After 25, you don't want that anymore. They are useless after that. Between 25 and 29, fertility is going down substantially, and they're not good anymore. And no tattoos. Once again, 3 of them. Very interesting. Number 1, 20-year-old. In general, there is a chance that they have not had a lot of sexual partners. When women sleep around a lot, they destroy their pair bonding capabilities. They cannot pair bond with a guy anymore after a while. You don't want that, because that is divorce, family court, alimony, child support. It's not fun for men. The family court system is not fun for men. Number 2, virgin. That would be hard. But we're talking about ideals, right? And number 3, no tattoos, because tattoos in women usually means trauma. You're not a sexual, you're not a social worker, man. Don't waste your time. Once again, if you want to have sex, use a condom and proceed, but do not tie yourself to this particular kind of traumatized, pair bonding ruin, or 50-year-old woman that have slept around with $100,000 man. That is not gonna end well for you. Simple as that. Especially if you have resources. Okay? So another thing that I want to discuss with you guys, especially men, is that you need to build a wall. You need to build a wall between your member and your bank account. They cannot go together. You see? If you want to have sex with as many women as possible, as much sex as possible, there is nothing wrong with that. But you don't want to go into alimony, child support, and family court with each of them, because you're gonna have to be trillionaire in order to afford that kind of lifestyle. So keep your finances and your resources apart from your sexual life. Don't get involved. At least you know that is the right one. And there is no right one. That woman can. Please understand this. We men have created this Western society in which it is so comfortable for women, it is so in favor of women, that they can wake up tomorrow and turn on you on a dime as a man and take everything they get and everything they can from you, including your kids. And they're gonna keep all of the benefits and none of the bills, while you are gonna keep all of the bills and none of the benefits. it is extremely skewed against men. Please understand this. You are not even being able to practice your sexual strategy openly without being punished. I hope this is helpful for a lot of people out there. I have had very interesting conversations. I see a lot of men that the rate of single motherhood is through the roof in both whites and blacks. And unfortunately, when you don't have that masculine influence, you tend to grow a little bit of a low quality man too, because the low quality in women drive low quality in men too. There is no need for high quality men when you have too much low quality woman, because there is no need for that. Where are you gonna apply your quality if there is no market, there is no request for it? So I see a lot of men, even powerful men, even guys with a lot of resources that have this very they come obviously for a single motherhood or a broken home, and they are very good at making business, are doing business and making money, but they have this I have to sacrifice myself, or I have to man up, and and that kind of thing, and sacrifice for women, or I'll go out of my way in some way that honestly I don't understand. And when I expose them to this, it's like someone, and they go like, man, nobody told me this before. Why nobody told me this before? Well, for once, you didn't have a father. That would be bad. And your mother obviously is not gonna be very interested in teaching you how to identify low quality woman, so you don't do the same mistake, because then you're gonna turn to them and say, hey mom, you kind of look like a low quality woman, and that would be bad. Single mothers, extremely low quality woman. It is important that you understand this out there. If you're a woman and you're watching this, widows are already widows. You're not a single mother. There is a word for you already. If your husband died, you're a widow. You're not a single mother. Single mother is the person that willingly go and have sex with someone that of her choice, because it's not the guy's choice. Otherwise, once again, it's rape. We're not talking about rape here. We're talking about private and personal and willing choice. I'm going to sleep with this guy, and I won't use any kind of contraception, which, by the way, we men invented 160 plus methods of contraception at women's desire. I mean, they can have anything they want in those 160 plus. I'm gonna sleep with this man. I'm not gonna use any contraception, knowing that you might get pregnant, and then get pregnant, and then have the kid, and then the guy disappears. Or maybe the guy don't disappear, but you choose to have sex with this person because he looked good, but you didn't want to get married or have a relationship or have a father for your kid, and you just decided that you were not gonna be with the guy, and now the guy is out there trying to see his kid or trying to be involved in the kid's life, and you don't want him to be, or maybe you allow him to see him every once in a while. I mean, or maybe you were such a terrible human being, you were bitchy and you were cheaty and you were a piece of shit, and the guy couldn't keep up with you and have to go, because that happens a lot too, unfortunately. Once again, all of this is not coming from a place of hate or from a place of disparage or something towards the opposite sex. It's just reality and the way things are right now, and the way things have been for when it comes to be about sexual strategies. Women are attracted to the guy with better resources. I want you to take from this that you have to do your best to be the best possible provider and the best possible version of yourself as a man that you can be, and do not resent women for any of this. You need to understand this, and once you understand this, you might have a shot to finding the right woman and being happy with her, because you know what she's all about. Now they know all this. They will never discuss any of this with you, and they won't. They don't want you to know about any of this either, because that will be counterproductive to them when it comes to be about them practicing their own sexual strategy openly. But now you know. Now you know. You don't have to discuss this with her, because then she's gonna probably say, "Oh, are you accusing me or something?" Or, I mean, and women practice this in different levels. I mean, it's like all women are like this. Most, I don't know, 99.9 of women are like this, but they practice it in different levels. When they have family and they have kids with you and all that, this goes a little bit down because there is already a tie. So it's not like they're gonna trade you up for something. I mean, on top of that, they are not as willing to do it. There is a problem that who in his right mind would take a woman with 2 or 3 kids or 1 kid when you can get a brand new one with no kids and you can make your own family? It makes no sense. So keep this in mind. Be the best version of yourself. Practice openly your sexuality, your sexual strategy, either explicit or implicit. That I'm gonna leave to you. You don't have to be explicit about it, but it has to be implicit in the conversation. And this keeps the relationship alive, by the way, very alive. When they understand that they cannot starve you of sex, they don't have the monopoly of sex on you. And the second they drop the ball, you're gonna have sex with someone else in a heartbeat. That keeps them engaged, for sure. And that keeps their relationship alive. I know someone who got married and out of a sudden his wife decided to not have sex with him anymore. And there is nothing he can do about it. I would say that is negative. Because even if he divorces, she keeps everything, including the kids. That would be bad. Back in the days, all the way up to Reagan, in order for you to get divorced, you needed to have a reason. So the non-fault divorce did not exist. That was a Reagan thing. He introduced the non-fault divorce, and later on he was seriously, he didn't like that. He regretted that for until he died. Because back in the days, you either have to be abused or cheated on or something abused. There were like 3 main reasons. And then you could present your motion for divorce, and you will get divorced. Now, Reagan introduced the non-fault divorce, and you can go there and you can just freely divorce anyone you want. without any reason. And this works for both sexes. But the problem with that is that 70% of divorces are initiated by women. And when the judge asks for the cause, because they still ask, it's not mandatory that you have one, but they still ask, what is the reason for you wanting to divorce this person? The number one cause is insatisfaction. Let me ask you something. If you are still there, if you walk into a dealership and you buy a car, you have the right, you test the car, you test drive the car in the freeway, you feel it, you drive it around, and for a short period of time, you bring it down, you bring it up, and you decide if you want it or not. And if you decide you want it, you sign up a paper making a compromise that you're gonna pay X amount of money for X amount of time towards the ownership of that car. If a week later a friend of yours happens to come by and he lets you drive his car, and you find his car is better than yours and you prefer his car over yours, can you go back to the dealership and say, you know what? I'm not satisfied with this car. I want to give it back. Can you do that? Of course not. Now, if you're not able to do that with a car, how can you do that with a person? It makes no sense. No sense at all. You cannot say I'm not satisfied with the car. Why can't you do it with a person? And destroy that family unit and take everything away from the guy. Once again, because women marry up. They don't marry poor. They marry equal or better. So they are gonna take from you, most definitely. Because otherwise, the alimony laws are in both. I mean, it goes both ways too. If the man make less money than the woman, then the woman have to pay alimony and all the other things. But they don't marry down. So these laws are there, and they disproportionately affect men, not women. And I think that is unfair. But once again, that's the way things are going right now. Let's see if in the future things change. Interestingly enough, I see so many people invested in making the United States more like Europe and socializing things and all that. Well, interesting thing about Europe is that when men and women get divorced, which by the way is free too. I mean, you don't have to have a cause for divorce. You can, there is no fault divorce back in Europe. You can divorce someone for non-satisfaction too. But the difference is that custody is 50-50, like default. At least there is any negative evidence against any of the members. 50-50, right out of bed, boom. And the alimony, or the child support is set up already at 350 euros or something. Well, depends on the, but it goes around 350 euros because that is not your wife anymore. You're not having, or you are not receiving any benefits from this person being your wife. She's not cooking, she's not ironing, she's not giving you sex, she's not giving you anything you're not receiving any goods from this person, so there is no reason why you should keep paying for other things. That person, obviously, you're gonna have to go and it's gonna have to work, and obviously that is a deterrent against divorce for little things and it's stupidity. In the event that the guy, I think there is something negative with the guy, like if he cheated on or he was abusive or something, I think things change legally. But a regular, normal, I'm not happy with you anymore, you're not happy with me anymore, let's break it down. You know that as a woman, you're not gonna be maintained for life. But then that part of Europe that they don't like. That part of Europe that is not. Free things. We want to copy that. But responsibility and being in your own and, you know, that part is not welcome. This is how the game is going right now. I'm gonna leave it here. I hope you're having a very good day, and I hope you're having the time to listen and process all these interesting details. I hope you don't hate yourself for being who you are or for practicing your sexual strategy, which once again, if you're a man, you want to have as much sexual access with as many women as possible. That's biology 101. You don't have to hate yourself for that. You actually want to practice that. In the meantime, you're not married. If you're married, that's it. The game is over. You are for a woman. Other cultures, by the way, you can still practice that. When you're married, you can have several wives and you can do several things, but not Western culture. Interestingly enough, since we're talking about it, we men created this marriage institution for the protection of women, because men are men, and we are attracted to, by nature, biology once again, to younger and more fertile women. So in order for women not to be thrown away like a disposable object, and men to pursue a new relationship with younger and more fertile women, we invented this marriage institution in which once you sign out the paper, you're supposed to stay with that woman until you die, and you're not supposed to leave her and go and get a newer model. Interestingly enough, I see so many women attacking marriage, which is there to protect them. So let's see how this plays out for them. I have a pretty good idea how the game is gonna go. No good for them. I'm gonna go now. Once again, thank you very much. I would really appreciate if you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and you subscribe and you comment. I need to know what do you think of the content. I need to know if you have any questions or any doubts. I will certainly clarify them. If you want a video regarding a particular thing or a particular you have a particular question that you want me to answer, it will be my pleasure. Thank you very much. Have a very good one. Bye-bye.